Trying to figure out what the glow was behind this Sunday night matchup ahead of it. And then Tirico comes on the Sunday night broadcast and he's like, welcome back to Houston for the first time in 5 years for our broadcast. It's like, okay, this is fun. The Texans are great. They qualify for Sunday Night Football, Peter. What stood out to you, though, when you look at what so many were watching, which is this number 1 versus number 2 young quarterback battle?
Yeah, that the NFL is humbling and that Caleb Williams is a rookie and that when you get to the big leagues, there's going to be guys who are bigger, faster, stronger. Chris Collinsworth mentioned it on the broadcast. He said, in every game Caleb Williams has ever played in his life, he's been the best athlete on the field. Well, last night, he might not have been, as the defense just absolutely engulfed him from Houston. I'm looking at Will Anderson Jr. with a sack and a half, Danielle Hunter with a sack and a half. They pressured him about 15 times. He threw 2 interceptions. They caused havoc. This Texans defense carried the load yesterday, and gosh, Caleb Williams was under duress the entire game. I don't even blame him for these 2 picks. Yeah, he threw them away, and this is like one of those sacks. The offensive line couldn't protect him, and even when he did scramble out, he would overthrow players. Like, this is the NFL. This isn't Cal Berkeley. This isn't Oregon State. And this certainly isn't Washington State at a 1 o'clock game on the Pac-12 network. This is every week. This is what awaits you. Derek Stingley is a top 5 pick. Jalen Petrie is a star safety in this league. They both got him. And Lassiter is a guy who everyone coveted coming out of the University of Georgia, and he got him as well. This is going to be a long season for Caleb Williams, and yet that Bears defense is good enough to keep them in games, so they're going to be relevant throughout. But don't get it twisted. This isn't college ball. This isn't the Pac-12, and this is a humbling sport. The Houston Texans defense brought it, and they got them the win last night.
Yeah, you know, you look at Caleb, pressure 48% of the time. He was under that constant pressure. You know, on the other side, though, the other quarterback that everyone was talking about was, of course, my man C.J. Stroud. And C.J. Stroud, to me, showed real development. It's very easy in the second year to kind of fall back on the success that you had. But he didn't show that. He came out here, and I thought he wanted to compete, and he competed in a big way. We know all of the attributes that he has. But what I like about what they have going is the development in the wide receivers. You look at the wide receiver core, they've got Collins, they got Tank Dell, they got Stephon Diggs. And Nico Collins in this game showed up to me as the number 1 wide receiver. That is huge. And then this play right here, that touchdown, you know, C.J. Stroud, we talk about that development. The way he was able to look off the underflow running back in Joe Mixon, and to be able to fake that linebacker out and find Nico Collins on the top end, like, that is some advanced stuff from C.J. Stroud, and I think they should feel comfortable that their quarterback is growing.
Now, Stroud is growing. I like that people got to see it. I don't know how many people saw C.J. Stroud last year. Maybe the last time you really saw him play, of course, in the playoffs back in college. He's good. He took care of business. He's really cool. He's really calm. And, like, Houston deserves a lot of credit. I have to talk about Chicago, and I have to say a few things that, like, Bears fans don't want to hear. Last night was a huge deal for them. Week 1, whatever, sloppy. But then against that Texan game, we'll really go nuts. He looked a lot, Caleb, it looked a lot like Justin Fields. Like, it was very, very reminiscent of the Justin Fields Bears deal, in that there's a lot of scrambling. He's constantly under attack. There's the scramble where he breaks 2 tackles and then a 3rd tackle, and oh my God, and then the 4th guy just gets him, and it's like pinball. When he's not scrambling, there was a lot of checkdowns, a lot of short stuff, and then a lot of, oh my God, he's going long, and then he either misses or it's intercepted. I felt like I was watching Justin Fields again, and it was like, it was number 18, but it was number 1, and it was just a little bit different. Frustrating for Bears fans for sure, because, again, the O-line looked really bad. And if you have concerns about that, they were justified. The running game did nothing. If you have concerns about Eberflus, there's some strange decisions by him on the challenges. There's a couple of them that everyone watching the game, including the announcers, was like, yeah, it's definitely not going to be overturned the second we saw it. So it was a deflating game for the Bears. And it's like, if you're of that mind that, okay, patience, yeah, sure. In C.J. Stroud's second game in the NFL, he had 384 yards and 2 touchdowns with no interceptions. 384. Caleb is nowhere near there. We lost Keenan Allen already. He was out. So, of course, there's patience. Of course, it's only a second game, and he's really talented. It's really already eerily familiar to last year's Bears offense, even last year's quarterback. I think they have the Colts next, and the Colts, who knows what talking about. Texans look really good. Bears, it's not just that it wasn't great, it's that it's frustratingly familiar. And it's not that it wasn't great, it wasn't different yet. Maybe it will be, but it isn't now.
Yeah, this does feel like the conversation after last night lends itself to appreciating C.J. Stroud for what he brings to the table. At this point in Stroud's career, he's played the full football season. And by that, I mean he's put 17 games on tape. And right now he sits at the 4th most passing yards for a quarterback through 17 games in his career. The 3 that lead him are Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. C.J. Stroud is right there. He has paced himself through a full 17-game season. Caleb Williams is not there yet. And not only did we see some frustration and him just getting ransacked behind his offensive line last night, when he was able to get the ball out, we saw some really poor timing, some really poor placement by the football, and Chris Collinsworth, by the end of the game, even called out what his wide receivers were feeling. Listen to this.
3rd and 4. Once again, the Texans bring pressure. Williams, lofting, back shoulder from Moore, incomplete. They bring up 4th down, it'll bring on the field goal unit.
And I know what DJ Moore is thinking. He goes, look, man, I squeezed that corner to the middle of the field. I left you 5 yards on the boundary out there. There was a lot of room for that back shoulder, just not enough time on task yet between those two. That was an opportunity.
When I heard Chris Collinsworth say not enough time on task, I felt like I was talking to my 5-year-old, which is not, I'm not patronizing Caleb Williams. I just think that that's how young we see this quarterback play. Man, Caleb Williams looked frustrated, and DJ Moore, when you take the helmet off when you're still on the ground, oof.